I am going to sing a ballad which I composed entitled The Double Tragedy. The music is that of the blind girl. The subject of the ballad is an event that happened in Monticello close to the turn of the century. Bright lights were shining in the hall, everyone seemed happy and gay, making merry one and all as by music they did sway. Tripping feet of dainty maids, scuffing feet of booted men, laughing remarks to partners made rang out o'er mountain glen. When quickly out upon the floor in anger strode Tom Roach, his gun was glistening in his hand, there was no one to reproach. At the bark of gun the startled crowd whirled round toward the door. The smoke was billowing as a shroud about the gunman on the floor. Out, file out, everybody out, speed up all, cried he. He knew not what he was about, he was filled with raw whiskey. Men and women in gasping dread fled out upon the street, when with a shout and flying lead he cut off their retreat. Now there are some that may return, but others out must stay. With planted feet and countenance stern, he forced them to obey. Then walking up in confidence, smiling came a card. Said he to Tom, you'll let me in, for I've always been your pard. But with flick of gun Tom barred his way, not another step he said. The card advanced that fatal step, and Roach's gun belt sled. A look of surprise flashed in his eye. Roach, you've killed me, he said. And with a last heart-breaking sigh, at Roach's feet fell dead. The music swelled in sweet refrain, the floorman gave his call. Swing your partners to the set, let's on, boys, with the ball. Mrs. Walton standing by, with gentle voice did plead, and Tom with ever-calming eye, her quieting voice did heed. When suddenly within the door, Frank Adams sprang. In his hand a Winchester bore, his voice loudly rang. Roach swayed aside as trigger he would press, and Mrs. Walton falling died with a bullet in her breast. The confusion of the moment of this last tragedy was the cover by which Roach in silent haste did flee. The fatal shot that Adams fired when in anger driven by Mrs. Walton, friends and kin, was in deep sorrow forgiven.
The Watermelon Smiling on the Vine, as sung by Long Pete Anderson, 66 years old, Nephi, Utah. Oh, see that watermelon smiling through the fence. How I wish that melon it was mine. For the white folks are foolish and they lack a heap of sense, or they never leave him there upon the vine. For the ham bone sweet and the bacon day and good, and the possums are very, very fine. Oh, let's give me, and how I wish you would, that there watermelon smiling on the vine. You may talk about your peaches, your apples, and your pears, and the cinnamon hanging on the cinnamon tree. Oh, but bless my heart, my honey, that fruit damn nowhere, but the watermelon and the stuff for me. Oh, the ham bone and sweet, and the bacon day and good, and the possum pie very, very fine. Oh, let's give me, and how I wish you would, that there was try to fetch him, or else I is a fool if I leave him there smiling on the vine. For the ham bone sweet, and the bacon damn good, and the possum fat very, very fine. Oh, it's gimme, I wish you would, that there was a melon smiling on the vine.
I learned this song from Joseph E. Reese about 1901, and I've never seen anyone else that knew it or had even heard it. I've been in Gay Paree, where the wind at 3:30 came strolling along where the boys belong, howling ta-ra-boom-dee-ay. I've danced the oyster can up on the American plan, and I've shed great tears when I got 3 years for stealing a couple of Texas steers. I've been in Kansas City, I've been out on the spree, been in jail, been out on bail, and been on a ship that would not sail. I've been in Ohio, likewise in Buffalo, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Louisville, and Cameo. I've been up in a balloon, been in a saloon, I've been dead broken, I've been in soak, and drank till I thought I would croak. I've been an awful dude, and sometimes rather rude. I've had hard luck, and I've been dead stuck, and I've been the driver of a 2-horse truck. I've been in many a scrap, I've had a real hard slap. My eyes have been draped in mourning and crepe. For a year and a half I've been stuck on my shape. I've been in bum hotels, paid prices that were swells, slept in bum beds and died and bled, chasing bed bugs round my head. Been buncoed once or twice, with cards and shaking dice. Bet a house and a lot and a 410 spot, and pulled my leg plumb full of knots. I've often played baseball, been umpire and all, been hit with clubs and sticks and bricks, and thumped about in a terrible fix. And I've been in Chicago too, that place where the wind blew through. And I went to a fair where they clipped my hair, charged me $1 an inch for air. And I went down on the track, at a racehorse took a crack, bet a 10 or a 2 on a horse I knew, but the horse dropped dead and he never came to. I've lived on pork and beans, and I've slept in room 13, been out of nights and I've seen the sights, and I've hit the pipe by the candlelight, been where I didn't belong. You've heard this lovely song, now these are all facts, but I made a few cracks, and I got it in the neck where the chicken got the axe. And I've been in Salt Lake too, 'twas the only place I knew where the girls were beauties, and they did their duties, and they chewed the gum called Tootsie Fruitsy. I've been in Indiana, I stepped on a banana, I slipped, I fell, and I hollered and I yelled, but the words I used I must not tell. I also rode a wheel, run an automobile, I've had a prize fight and I had a gold strike, and since that night I've never been right. Wore the blue and the gray, slept on a bale of hay, drove a mule, taught public school, but I never could find the golden rule. I drank red lemonade that was made with a post-hole spade, and I've shot snipes for electric lights, and I marched to the Salvation Army at night. And I've been in politics too, oh how the money flew. At Tammany Hall I had a close call, but I never could learn to sing after the ball, or Daddy won't you buy me a ball, ball, ball.
my name, Margaret Y. Boyle.
Age?
97 on the 4th of April, born on 54.
And I came from Scotland?
From Scotland, Edinburgh shire, a Kirkintullach. Tell me when you're ready, brother. Ye saints of the world in Europe, sure, prepare yourself with many more to leave your own dear native land, for sure God's judgments are at hand. We must cross the raging main before the promised land we gain. Then with the faithful make a start to leave, to cross the plains in your handcart. And some will push and some will pull as we go marching up the hill. So merrily on our way we go until we reach the valley, oh. The land that boasts of modern light we know are all as dark as night, where poor men toil and want for bread, and rich men's dogs are better fed. The land that boasts of liberty I never again would wish to see. Then you from Europe make a start, and we'll cross the plains in our handcarts. So on the road the carts were spooled. It very much surprised the world to see the old and feeble dames, the slender hand to pull the same. Then maidens too will dance and sing, young men more happier than kings, and children too will laugh and play. Their strength increases day by day. Oh, some will say it is too bad, the saints upon the foot too bad. But we do know it is the plan to gather out the best of men, and women too, for none but they can never travel in this way. Then you from Europe made that start, and we crossed the plains in our handcarts. Oh, long before the valley's gained, we will be met upon the plains, with music sweet and friends dear, and fresh supplies our hearts to cheer. And then with music and with song, how merrily we will march along, and we'll bless that day we made that start, for we crossed the plains in our handcarts. Will I finish it off there, or will I tell the rest? I have no more to write to you, since our legions lone, our preachers are few. For here in war and almost gone, with the red man in Zion's land. But my love to you I can't unfold, my love to you like a ring of gold. It's round and pure and got no end. Here is my love to you, my friends.
I'm going to try to sing for you an old pioneer song. It was sang when the people was coming across the plains. And a good many years after, we had Brother Ensign, an old pioneer that came across with the handcarts, sing this song in the gatherings where the people were gathered. The song is as follows. Come all my good people and listen to my song, although it's not so very good, it's not so very long, and sing Tittery-Irie-Aye, sing Tittery-Irie-O. Now concerning this strange people, I'm now a-going to sing, for the way they have been treated, I think it is a sin. And sing Tittery-Irie-Aye, sing Tittery-Irie-O. They've been driven from their homes and away from Nauvoo for to seek another home in the wilderness anew. Sing Tittery-Irie-Aye and sing Tittery-Irie-O. Oh, they stopped among the Indians, but there don't seem to stay, and they'll soon be a-packing up and jogging on their way. Sing Tittery-Irie-Aye and sing Tittery-Irie-O. They made a halt at Council Bluffs, but there don't mean to stay. Some feed their cattle rushes and some prairie hay, and sing Tittery-Irie-Aye, sing Tittery-Irie-O. Oh, of logs we build our houses, of dirt we have for floors, of sods we build our chimneys, and shakes we have for doors, and sing Tittery-Irie-Aye, sing Tittery-Irie-O. Some men have got, there is another item to mention it I must, concerning spiritual women that make a hell of a fuss, and sing Tittery-Irie-Aye, sing Tittery-Irie-O. Some men have got a dozen wives and others have a score, and the man that's got but one wife's looking out for more, and sing Tittery-Irie-Aye, sing Tittery-Irie-O. Now, young men, don't get discouraged, get married if you can, but take care, don't get a woman that belongs to another man, and sing Tittery-Irie-Aye, sing Tittery-Irie-O. Now, concerning this strange people, I've nothing more to say until we all get settled in some future day, and sing Tittery-Irie-Aye, sing Tittery-Irie-O.
Come all ye people if you want to hear a story about a brave pioneer. Brigham Young is a pioneer's name in the Salt Lake valleys where he won his fame. He told his people along the Mississippi River, you better get ready, we are leaving forever. We'll turn our faces out to the west. Do not get discouraged, for we'll do our best. Brigham Young, the Western pioneer, Brigham Young, won a noble race. Brigham Young made a broad statement when he raised upon his elbow and said, this is the place. From Germany and Holland, Denmark, Sweden, France, and Wales, Johnny Bull and Scotch and Irish with their clever Irish tales. He put them in a melting pot, I give them many thanks. When he stirred them up a little bit, they all were Yanks. He says, repair your wagons, your carriages and carts, shoe your horses, mules, and oxen. We are about to start. Make roads through the valleys and bridges o'er the rivers. And they had to travel slow because they never had a flivver. Brigham Young, the Western pioneer, Brigham Young, won a noble race. Brigham Young made a broad statement when he raised upon his elbow and said, this is the place. They reached Salt Lake Valley on July the 24th. 1,000 miles they traveled, they were very tired, of course. Their leader was sick, weariness was on his face. But he raised upon his elbow and said, this is the place. Some went to California, they wouldn't heed advice. They didn't seem to prosper, were as poor as church mice. Some joined the other churches, and I have a little hunch they wish the heck they'd never quit the Brigham Young bunch. Brigham Young, the Western pioneer, Brigham Young, won a noble race. Brigham Young made a broad statement when he raised upon his elbow and said, this is the place. They met old Jim Bridger in the country of Wyoming. He'd give $1,000 for a near a corn a-growing. They instituted irrigation, had fine crops, till along came the crickets and the old grasshops. The crickets and the grasshoppers, they got so awful bad. The saints tried to kill them, they fought till they were mad. The Lord sent the seagulls in about 2 shakes. How they heaved them over in the Great Salt Lake. Brigham Young, the Western pioneer, Brigham Young, won a noble race. Brigham Young made a broad statement when he raised upon his elbow and said, "This is the place." Before they left the Middle West, a message came from Uncle Sam. "We want 500 volunteers to fight the Mexican. We're loyal to the Stars and Stripes, want everyone to know. If we haven't got 500 men or women, they will go." The old stagecoach, the Pony Express, carried mail and passengers from east to the west. They moved the best they could before the days of the rail, along the Emigrant Road and the Oregon Trail. Brigham Young, the Western pioneer, Brigham Young, won a noble race. Brigham Young made a broad statement when he raised upon his elbow and said, "This is the place." They built wagon roads and railroads and irrigation ditches, woolen mills to manufacture dresses and breeches. They dug for gold and silver and a little copper too, and soon they were better off and back in Nauvoo. 40 years of building a temple in Salt Lake, another one in Manti, one in the Logan Stake, another down in Dixie. Now there's 8 all told, and we all work diligently, young and old. Brigham Young, the Western pioneer, Brigham Young, won a noble race. Brigham Young, he made a broad statement when he raised upon his elbow and said, "This is the place." Once they held a celebration up in old Cottonwood. They were happy and doing the very best they could. Hard news came to Brigham, Johnston's army on the wing. "Before we let them enter, we'll destroy everything." He built Salt Lake Theater, erected many schools to educate the kiddies, 'cause they wanted no fools. He called them his busy bees. They built a lot of hives, and he ought to go to heaven with his 19 wives. Brigham Young, the Western pioneer, Brigham Young, won a noble race. Brigham Young made a broad statement when he raised upon his elbow and said, "This is the place."
Oh, Brigham Young was a Mormon bold and a leader of the roaring rams, and a shepherd of a heap of pretty little sheep and a nice fold of pretty little lambs. And he lived with 45 wives in the city of Great Salt Lake, where they woo and coo as pretty doves do and cackle like ducks to a drake. Brigham Young, 'tis a miracle he survived, with his roaring rams, his pretty little lambs, and 45 wives.
We're going to preach the gospel to all who want to hear, a message of salvation unto the meek we bear. Jehovah has commanded us, and therefore we must go, for none do preach the gospel like the Mormons do, like the Mormons do. 'Tis faith in the Lord Jesus, the first thing that we say, a genuine repentance, the next thing that we know, baptism by immersion's the next thing that we say, for none do preach the gospel like the Mormons do, like the Mormons do. How to obtain the Spirit's the next thing that we say, as in the days of Peter, the same as in our day. 'Tis by the laying on of hands as the scriptures plainly show. For none do preach the gospel like the Mormons do, like the Mormons do. Read the 12th of 1 Corinthians, Ephesians 4 and 2, and the 16th of Mark's Gospel, and that will prove to you that Mormonism is scriptural as well as it is true. For none do preach the gospel like the Mormons do, like the Mormons do.
Oh, once I lived in Cottonwood and owned a little farm, but I was called to Dixie, which gave me much alarm. To raise the cane and cotton, I right away must go, but the reason why they sent me, I'm sure I do not know. I yoked old Jim and Bolly up all for to make a start. To leave my house and garden, it almost broke my heart. We moved along quite slowly and often looked behind, for the sands and rocks of Dixie kept running through my mind. At length we reached the Black Ridge where I broke my wagon down. I could not find a carpenter, we were 20 miles from town. So with a clumsy cedar pole I fixed an awkward slide. My wagon pulled so heavy then that Betsy couldn't ride. While Betsy was a-walking, I told her to take care, when all upon a sudden she struck a prickly pear. Then she began to blubber out as loud as she could bawl. If I was back in Cottonwood, I wouldn't come at all. And when we reached the Sandy, we could not move at all, for poor old Jim and Bolly began to puff and bawl. I whipped and swore a little, but could not make the route. For myself, the team, and Betsy wore all of us give out. And next we got to Washington, where we stayed a little while, to see if April showers would make the venture smile. But oh, I was mistaken, and so I went away, for the red hills of November look just the same in May. I feel so sad and lonely now, there's nothing here to cheer, except prophetic sermons, which we very often hear. They will hand them out by the dozens and prove them by the book. I'd rather have some roasting ears to stay at home and cook. I feel so weak and hungry now, I think I'm nearly dead. 'Tis 7 weeks next Sunday since I have tasted bread. Of carrot tops and lucerne greens we have enough to eat, but I'd like to change my diet off for buckwheat cakes and meat. I brought this old coat with me about 2 years ago, and how I'll get another one, I'm sure I do not know. May Providence protect me against the wind and wet. I think myself and Betsy, these times we'll ne'er forget. My shirt is dyed with wild oak root with greasewood for to set. I fear the colors all will fade when once it does get wet. They said we could raise madder and indigo so blue, but that turned out a humbug. The story was not true. The hot winds whirl around me
and take away my breath. I've had the chills and fevers till I nearly shook to death. All earthly tribulations are but a moment here, and oh, if I prove faithful, a righteous crown shall wear. My wagon sold for sorghum seed to make a little bread, and poor old Jim and Bolly long, long ago are dead. There's only me and Betsy left to hold the cotton tree. May heaven help the Dixie-eyed wherever he may be.
Who'd ever think that Utah would stir the world so much? Who'd ever think the Mormons were widely known as such? I hardly dare to scribble or such a subject touch, for all are talking of Utah. Hurrah, hurrah, we Mormons have the name. Hurrah, hurrah, we're on the road to fame. No matter what they style us, it's all about the same, for all are talking of Utah. They say that Utah cannot be numbered as a state. They wished our lands divided, but left it rather late. 'Tis hard to tell of Mormons what yet they may be their fate, for all are talking of Utah. Hurrah, hurrah, we Mormons have the name. Hurrah, hurrah, we're on the road to fame. No matter what they style us, it's all about the same, for all are talking of Utah. They say they'll send an army to set us Mormons right, regenerate all Utah and show us Christian light, release our wives and daughters and put us men to flight, for all are talking of Utah. Hurrah, hurrah, we Mormons have the name. Hurrah, hurrah, we're on the road to fame. No matter what they style us, it's all about the same, for all are talking of Utah. Whatever ever may be coming, we cannot well foresee. First it may be railroad or some great prodigy. At least the noted Mormons are watching what's to be, for all are talking of Utah. Hurrah, hurrah, we Mormons have the name. Hurrah, hurrah, we're on the road to fame. No matter what they style us, it's all about the same, for all are talking of Utah. I will now tell you something you never thought of yet. The wee bees are nearly filling the hives of Deseret. If hurt, we'll sting together and gather all we get, for all are talking of Utah. Hurrah, hurrah, we Mormons have the name. Hurrah, hurrah, we're on the road to fame. No matter what they style us, it's all about the same, for all are talking of Utah.
You jovial bullwhackers on the Denver line, I can lick the man that will yoke an ox of mine. He'd better turn him out, you bet your life I'll try to maul him with an oxbow root, hog or die. It's not so very pleasant when you start upon the road with an awkward team and a very heavy load. have to whip and holler, swear but never cry. Go it if you like it, boys, root, hog, or die. Out upon the road you have to go it as you can. They won't try to please you nor any other man. You have to go it night and day, also wet and dry. Go it if you like it, boys, root, hog, or die. Out upon the road it is a very hard task. The worst thing of all, we have so long to fast. Only have 2 meals a day, 3 it's on the sly. Go it if you like it, boys, root, hog, or die. Perhaps you'd like to know, boys, what we have to eat. A small piece of bread, but a smaller piece of meat. A little fruit and beans, sugar on the sly. Go it if you like it, boys, root, hog, or die. Perhaps you'd like to know, boys, what we have to sup. We have a little coffee in an old rusty cup. A little of the plat, a little alkali. Big pig, little pig, root, hog, or die. All day long you must be upon your feet. You'll see root, hog, or die marked on every wagon sheet. The dust within your throat, the sand within your eyes. You'll get enough of that, boys, root, hog, or die. Every day at noon we have something to do, and if it's nothing else, we have an ox to shoe. With our ropes we throw him down, and there we make him lie, while we tack the shoes on, root, hog, or die. There is a fine sight to be seen upon the road, the antelope and deer and the big sandy toad, the elk and buffalo, the rabbit jump so high, and the bloody redskins, root, hog, or die. We arrived in Denver City on the 21st of June. The folks were all surprised for to see us in so soon. We are jovial bullwhackers on whom you can rely. We're tough and can stand it, boys, root, hog, or die.
The days of 49. I learned this song from my father when I was a small boy up in Richville. You see before you old Tom Moore, a relic of bygone days. The people call me bummer sure, but what care I for praise? Oh, when I think of the days that's past, it makes me grieve and pine for the days of old and the days of gold and the days of 49. There's New York Jake, the butcher boy, so fond of getting tight. Whenever Jake got on a spree, he was spoiling for a fight. One night he ran against a knife in the hands of old Bob Klein, and over Jake we held awake in the days of 49. There was Poker Bill, one of the boys, who was always in for a game. He'd deal for you and he'd deal for me. To him it was all the same. He'd anti-slug or force the jack. He'd bet a hatful blind. In a game with death, Bill lost his breath in the days of 49. There was old lame Jess, a tough old cuss, who never would repent. He never was known to miss a meal or ever throw in a cent. But poor old Jess, like all the rest, to death he did resign, and in his boom went up the flume in the days of 49. Of all the comrades I had then, there is none left but me, and all that I am waiting for is a senator to be. The people cry as I go by, there goes the traveling sign, crying old Tom Moore from Bummer's shore,
in the days of '49, sung by George Taggart.
Oh, that strawberry roan, oh, that strawberry roan, that sun-fishing critter was feeding alone. There's never a cowboy from Texas to Roan can ride old strawberry roan. Let me tell you a tale, it's a good running old horse, that strawberry roan. Hanging round town, not earning a dime, out of a job, wasting my time, when a fellow stepped up and he said, I suppose you're a bronc-busting man from the look of your clothes. You guesses me right, I'm a good one, I claim. Riding tough ponies is my middle name. Oh, that strawberry roan, oh, that strawberry roan. They say he's a cayuse that's never been rode, and the man that steps on him is bound to get throwed off that strawberry roan. I put on the blind and it sure was a fight. My saddle come next and I screwed it down tight. I piled a board and I had a gem. I rode this so wrong, I'd sure earn my 10. He bowed his old neck and he leaped from the ground. 2 circles he made before he come down. Worst bucking bronc I've seen on the range. Turn on a nickel and give you some change. Oh, that strawberry roan, oh, that strawberry roan. Went up in the east and come down in the west to stay in his middle while doing my best upon that old strawberry roan. Now certainly say that this pony can step. I'm still sitting tight and I'm earning a rest. My stirrup I lost and there goes my hat. I'm yanking no leather, I'm blind as a bat. Made one more jump, he headed up high, sitting on nothing way up in the sky. I turned over twice and I come back to earth, and I started to cussin' the day of his birth. Oh, that strawberry roan, oh, that strawberry roan. That sun-fishing critter was breezing alone. There's never a cowboy from Texas to Roan can ride old strawberry roan.
I can rope and ride the wildest bronco in the wild and woolly west. I can rope him, I can ride him, let him do his level best. I can handle any critter that ever wore a coat of hair, but I had a lively tussle with enormous grizzly bear. I can rope and tie the wildest longhorn in the wildest Texas land, and in any disagreement I can play a winning hand. But at last I met my master, and I surely had to squeal when the boys got me straddle of the gall-darn wheel. It was at the Eagle Rancho on the Brazos as I just ran across a damn contrivance that upset me in the dust. Naturally up and throwed me, stood me on my cursed head, put my face in lightning order as the foreman said. It's a tenderfoot that brought it, he come wheeling all the way from the sunshine into freedom by the San Francisco Bay. He tied up at the rancho to get on the outside of a meal, never thinking that I'd monkey with his god-darn wheel. Arizona Jim begun it when he said to Jack McGill, that's the puncher broke the record riding on his bragging skill. Said it's how there was a puncher not a million miles away. He thought himself a rider and he's terribly gay. So took the slur upon my talent, made me madder than a mink, and I told him I could ride it for amusement or for chink. 'Cause there's nothing but a plaything for the kids and such about. I had to hide, he shouted when they trots the critter out. Well, the grade was kind of sloping from the rancho to the creek, and we went a galloping like a crazy lightning streak. Just a whizzing and a buzzing, first to one side and to that. The contrivance kind of wobbled like the flying of a bat. And the boys began to holler, stay with him, Uncle Bill, shove the steel in the critter, turn the muzzle up the hill. Well, I never said a word, and I didn't look around. Kept my two eyes busy looking for the smoothest ground. No, I never said a word, and neither did I squeal. I was building a reputation on the god-darn wheel. Another sneaking idea, and on down the hill I went. I know there'd be a mix-up I couldn't circumvent. When the ground flew up and hit me, and the stars all tangled up, and the last that I remembered was the punchers picked me up. They packed me to the rancho and they stretched me on the bed. Cowboys gathered round me 'cause they knowed that I was dead. Jesus Christ and all his prophets, how I split the Texas air, and the wind of paper poppers with my same old skinny hair. How we met the Texas Eepers and tore up the Texas sod. I cussed all that was holy, and I also cussed my God. And the boys began to holler, stay with him, Uncle Bill. Shove the steel in the critter, turn the muzzle up the hill. That's all.